And here's our first lesson this morning out of this verse. You want to improve your life? Then look for leaders who lead by example. You spend time with people who are stronger and wiser than you. Back then, the high priest was the top dog in society. And the priests were right below him. The clergy back then, and not really up till recently, clergy have been regarded as leaders in the community. Nowadays, they do the old lifeboat experiment where you got a pastor and a teacher and a parent and a softball player in a boat, and you have to kick one out. Guess who usually gets the heave-ho? Yeah, that's me, the pastor. It's appropriate that Nehemiah begins his journal of recognizing the people that are helping by pointing out that the leaders were leading the way in this rebuilding project. They repaired the sheep gate, which is a good place for the shepherds of the community to begin their rebuilding work. A lot of times, I think you'd agree with this, people raise up and elevate up in rank in different parts of society, but the higher they go, the less they have to do with the average Joe. Yes? Like in the military, the higher you climb, the further you're removed from the front line. In corporate America, the more you're promoted, the less you have to do with the rank and file. In Hollywood, I see this all the time. The greater your fame, the more insulated you are from the rest of us. And I've done background acting for the last 3 years, and it's actually disgusting the way this works, how the talent gets fawned over. But not so in God's world. Jesus taught another principle entirely. The way Jesus saw it, leaders lead by serving, by blazing the trail. Jesus said this, whoever wants to be great among you. Let's show the next verse, Chris. Read this with me, in fact. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. And then you should know this verse. This is our current memory verse. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Since in Christianity, leaders are meant to be visible and accessible and transparent to the other people in the church, a church should be a place where there are abundant examples of how to live life well. Let's say you're a person who is in financial difficulty. You don't know how to balance a checkbook or save or budget. Guess what? In a church, you ought to find mentors, people who do manage their lives well financially, who can come alongside you and teach you. If you're a person who's struggling in your marriage, and we're all there at one time or another, you ought to find in a church examples of people who've been married 30, 40, or 72 years. Betty and Oscar, did I get that right? 72 years? You said something. 72 on Christmas Eve. Isn't that romantic? Wow. Can anybody top that? Because in all my years on this earth, I've yet to meet someone who's been married 72 years. Anybody top that? So, and I shared this with Betty and Oscar when I visited them. They can be a marriage mentor. Wouldn't you want to, if you were just getting married and you wanted to learn some life lessons about how to have a good marriage, wouldn't you want to go have dinner with Betty and Oscar and spend an evening with them and just listen to some of their stories? Huh? A church ought to be that kind of place. There should be leaders at every level, leading by example.